When you stop explaining yourself, something subtle but irreversible happens in the room. At first, they don't notice it consciously. They just feel a shift, a pressure where there used to be comfort, an absence where there used to be noise. Most people talk to feel safe. They explain to be understood, to be liked, to be forgiven in advance. Every word added is an unconscious request for approval. And approval is currency. The moment you stop spending it, the balance of power changes. Silence is not empty. Silence is loaded. It forces others to fill the space with their own assumptions, their own insecurities, their own projections. When you explain yourself, you guide their perception. When you don't, they guide it themselves. And most people do not like what their mind creates in that void. They begin to wonder what you know, why you're so calm, why you're not trying to convince them. Their attention turns inward. And that's where control begins. Notice how people react when they sense they can't read you anymore. They lean in. Their tone softens. Their questions multiply. Not because they're curious, but because they're uncomfortable. Humans are addicted to certainty. You remove certainty the moment you stop justifying your choices, your boundaries, your silence. You are no longer negotiating your position, you are occupying it. This is the power they can't escape, because it doesn't come from dominance or aggression. It comes from restraint, from the discipline of not correcting every misunderstanding, from the strength to let others sit with incomplete information. You don't rush to be understood. You let them work for it. And effort creates value. The less accessible your inner reasoning becomes, the more weight your presence carries. Watch carefully what happens next. Some will test you. They'll provoke explanations indirectly, disguise them as concern, curiosity, even praise. They'll say things designed to pull words out of you, to restore the old dynamic where you gave and they evaluated. If you fall back into explaining, the spell breaks. If you hold the line, the tension deepens. And tension is attention. You're not being mysterious for effect. You're being selective with your energy. There's a difference. Mystery is a performance. Selectivity is a position. One seeks reaction. The other commands respect without asking for it. When you stop explaining yourself, you signal that your internal world does not require external validation to exist. And that realization unsettles people more than any argument ever could. Because once they understand you won't chase understanding, they start chasing you. At some point they start to feel something they can't name. It isn't fear. It isn't admiration either. It's the quiet loss of control. When you stop explaining yourself, you remove their ability to predict you, and prediction is how people feel safe around others. The moment that safety disappears, curiosity takes its place. They replay conversations in their head, searching for signals they missed. They analyze your pauses, your expressions, the moments where you could have clarified but chose not to. That choice becomes louder than any explanation ever was. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't correct them. You let their interpretation stand, and restraint forces their mind to work overtime. Most people rely on verbal confirmation to anchor reality. When you take that away, they're left alone with their assumptions. Assumptions expose insecurities faster than questions ever could. They start wondering if they said too much, if they revealed something they shouldn't have, if you now see through them in ways they didn't intend. The shift doesn't happen between you and them. It happens inside them. This is why silence, when used deliberately, feels heavier than confrontation. Confrontation creates closure. Silence creates an open loop. And the human brain hates open loops. It wants reassurance. It wants resolution. When you don't provide it, attention locks onto you by default. You're no longer participating in the emotional exchange. You've stepped outside of it. They're reacting, adjusting, recalibrating, while you remain still. Stillness in a reactive environment reads as control. Not because you dominate, but because you are not being pulled into the current that moves everyone else. From here, your presence starts to gain gravity. People wait longer for your response. They value your words more, even if they won't admit it. They sense that when you speak now, it matters. Because you don't speak to release tension. You let tension work for you. This is the point where power becomes quiet, internal, and unavoidable. As the silence stretches, something subtle shifts in how they position themselves around you. Their tone softens. Their words become more careful. Not because you demanded respect, but because uncertainty forces caution. When people don't know where they stand with you, they instinctively try to regain balance. And balance in this case means adjusting to you. They begin to test the edges, small questions disguised as jokes, casual remarks meant to provoke a reaction. They're searching for the version of you they used to understand. But that version no longer answers. You don't bite. You don't correct. You don't fill the gaps they leave open. Every time you refuse to engage the old pattern, you reinforce the new one. This is where most people fail. They feel the pull to explain themselves, to clear misunderstandings, to smooth tension. They mistake discomfort for danger, but discomfort is only dangerous when you try to escape it. When you stay composed inside it, others feel exposed instead. You are calm, and calm in the face of ambiguity reads as authority. Without realizing it, they start seeking your approval. Not openly, subtly. They mirror your posture. They slow their speech. They wait for your reaction before committing to theirs. This isn't manipulation. It's psychology responding to presence. You're no longer chasing clarity. You're allowing it to come to you. The irony is that the less you explain, the more meaning they assign to everything you do. Your silence becomes intentional. Your restraint becomes strategic. Even neutral actions feel weighted because you've trained them to believe nothing from you is accidental. At this stage, you don't need to assert dominance. Dominance is loud. Influence is quiet. And quiet influence rewrites dynamics without resistance. They adapt because resisting would require admitting they're no longer in control. You haven't changed who you are. You've changed how much access you give, and that alone shifts the entire balance. Now the dynamic reaches a deeper layer. They don't just adjust their behavior around you. They start adjusting their internal narrative. People need explanations. When you don't give them one, they create their own. And the stories they invent are rarely small. They assume depth, intention, power. Silence invites projection, and projection amplifies presence. You notice it in the way they hesitate before speaking, in how they overthink messages, in how they replay interactions, wondering what you meant. You've become a variable they can't solve. And unsolved variables command attention. This is where psychological leverage quietly forms. Not because you're trying to control, but because you're no longer predictable. Predictability is comfort. Unpredictability, when paired with calm, is authority. You're not erratic. You're stable. And that stability makes your restraint feel deliberate. They begin to fill conversations for you. They explain themselves unprompted. They justify choices you never questioned. This is a reversal most people never experience. The one who speaks less controls the frame, because the one who speaks more reveals position. There's a temptation here to step back in, to reassure, to restore equilibrium. Resist it, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. Once you explain, you collapse the tension that gives your presence weight. Once you over-communicate, you give away the advantage that silence earned. You're not withholding information, you're withholding noise. And that distinction changes everything. Noise weakens influence, precision sharpens it. At this point, your words matter more because there are fewer of them. When you do speak, people listen. Not because you raised your voice, but because you trained the room to value it. Power doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, settles in, and lets others notice the difference. By now, something subtle has shifted. You're no longer reacting to the environment. The environment is reacting to you. This is where most people get nervous. They feel the pull, the attention, the quiet gravity forming around them, and they sabotage it by explaining themselves too much, smiling too fast, softening what should remain sharp. Don't. Silence is not emptiness, it's pressure, and pressure reveals structure. The less you rush to be understood, the more others work to understand you. That effort binds them psychologically. People value what costs them mental energy. Notice how they test you. Small provocations. Casual questions meant to pull clarity out of you. They want to see if the mystery collapses under light pressure. If you defend yourself, you fail the test. If you stay composed, you pass without saying a word. This is not about being cold. It's about being grounded. Your calm tells them you don't need validation, agreement, or approval. That independence is unsettling to anyone who relies on emotional leverage to feel safe. Here's the deeper truth. When you stop explaining yourself, you force others to confront their own need for control. Some will respect you more. Others will resent you quietly. Both reactions confirm the same thing. You're no longer playing at their level. You start choosing your moments carefully. You speak when it matters. You withdraw when it doesn't. This rhythm creates anticipation. Anticipation sharpens focus. Focus creates influence. At this stage, power isn't something you chase. It's something you maintain by not reaching for it. The paradox is simple. The less you try to assert dominance, the more it's assigned to you. And once people assign you authority in their own minds, you don't have to prove anything ever again. This is where everything locks into place. Not with noise, not with force, but with restraint. You've learned that the strongest position is the one that doesn't need defending. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop leaking energy. Every word you see others waste trying to justify their existence becomes fuel you keep. People will start projecting onto you strength, intent, even threat. Let them. Projection is confession. What they imagine about you tells you more than anything they could ever say out loud. You're no longer visible in the way they expect. You're present, but not accessible. Calm, but not predictable. This unsettles them, because humans fear what they can't read. And fear, when unmanaged, turns into respect. At this level, you don't correct misunderstandings immediately. You observe them. You let reality do the explaining for you. Truth doesn't see urgency. It arrives on its own schedule, and when it does, it hits harder than any argument ever could. Understand this clearly. Explaining yourself is often a negotiation for approval. When you remove that habit, you exit the negotiation entirely. You're not asking to be seen as capable, you're assuming it. That assumption changes how people speak to you, how they hesitate, how they listen. You become a reference point instead of a participant. And now, the final move. If this shift resonated, if you felt the tension tighten instead of fade, don't scroll past it. Like the video. Leave a comment with the word control, subscribe, and stay close. Because once you stop explaining yourself, you don't go back. You move forward and others adjust.